Okay.
And then no, almost exchange diplomats. We did an ambassador call and I wish to do an ambassador by. Now next video no I be heard and the best explaining in 30th December 1993.
Okay, yakwa ko next video 30th December 1993. Abusi yakwa ko ha band me koso akayo se nyame adoma memenda ye gitwi na yina ye de yani a kire eyi kumase ye Glusac building na what Senate hall na na Senate building na chi e wadum mun chere so pa ko asafo Senate building na wayira we ya dum the bank me no e ho de ne eka obedu osonam gina ho a make sure kwa ko next video or say 30th December 1993 Israel and the Vatican begin diplomatic relations yenhwe eno emra as a third video.
On the 30th of December 1993, Israel and the Vatican City signed the Fundamental Accord, which established diplomatic relations between the two states for the first time. Relations between Catholicism and Judaism cover a long, complex, and sadly violent history in which Christians revered the Jewish scriptures, yet held Jews collectively responsible for the crucifixion of Jesus. However, the murderous anti-Semitism of the Nazi Holocaust led to moves for reconciliation between the two religions in the second half of the 20th century. A key milestone in relations came when the Second Vatican Council published its document In Our Time in 1965. This document formally rejected the idea of collective Jewish responsibility for the crucifixion, and 2 decades later, John Paul II became the first pope to visit a synagogue when he called Jews our beloved elder brothers and outrightly condemned anti-Semitism. Despite these positive steps towards reconciliation, the diplomatic negotiations between Israel and the Holy See in the 1990s were still enormously complex. Significantly, the Vatican maintained its call for Jerusalem to have international status due to its unique position as a holy site for Christians, Jews, and Muslims. Property rights and tax exemptions for the Church in Israel also feature heavily in the discussions. The final agreement was signed by Monsignor Claudio Celli, the Vatican Under-Secretary of State, and Israel's Deputy Foreign Minister Yossi Beilin. However, it has never been ratified by the Israeli Knesset due to ongoing economic disputes over the legal status of church properties in Israel. Despite this, the Vatican appointed an apostolic nuncio to Israel in 1994, while Israel appointed an ambassador to the Vatican.
Enti ebra Israel for ana yebu na Vatican na mon recognize na yebi ntajanko jamra 1993 anomdo mon sako shenkrata asia 1994 no sha so mo exchange diplomata ene yehu no ofa yento aso
Sounds na 2000. Palestinians in so Echo by. Say so yeni enti
o jari be kubidi ajari nifa.
We are also can we.
Okay. We also Arafat urges the Pope to intervene. 26 January 1991. Ghanaian Times at the buyer. Also, Palestinian President Yasser Arafat has called on the Pope to intervene personally to end the Gulf War. Palestinian news agency Wafa reported on Thursday that, in a message, Arafat urged the Pope to use his religious, moral, and spiritual influence to stop military operation and allow for peaceful settlement to all the conflicts in the region, mainly the Gulf crisis, the Palestinian and the Lebanese issues. President Arafat said the settlement of all pending problems in the region depended on the settlement of the Palestinian issue, insisting that these problems should be addressed according to international law. baako ɛno no ana wei nso Daily Graphic ɛna de by Monday April 9th 1990 into Daily Graphic deɛ no by no ne year ana so by I see Pope John Paul expresses support for Palestinians. Okay, they said they to trouble. Pope John Paul told PLO leader Yasser Arafat he supported a Palestinian homeland in a 20-minute meeting last Friday, which touched off strong protest from international Jewish organizations. The Pope support both Palestinian homeland and Israel's right to exist within something borders, but recognizes neither Israel nor the Palestinian state declared in 1988. Meeting the Palestinian Liberation Organization leader on the last day of his controversial visit to Italy and the Vatican, the Pope called for mutual understanding and respect for each other's rights and fears between Israel and Palestinians. He told Arafat negotiations should bring an end to suffering and let each people live in peace, freedom, dignity, and tranquility in their own homeland. To collaboration with other people of the region. Is it often and I can't believe I see it clearly. Okay. Right. We cry. Adieu. Open to collaboration.
Now, yeah, 2000. Also, by our no cancer, may recognize you be a. Sasanet here, Unim. Many Israel for a saniament, no. My recognize it. Say, Omaji is Jerusalem.
Yes.
We didn't say is Jerusalem, no. It's in the baby. Jimmy, I'm Peninsula. And I feel my Peninsula, so say. Say, Israel for what me cocody is Jerusalem, no more now.
Okay.
And it's a minimum as so bad the same be. The medical I can't do. One hour fatting so. Yeah. Also, a coye. No coye, no. Idea about moon, say. Palestine for Israel for Omunina Nimse, Vatican, Afa, Kotikwa Biso. And the Okika Mutrabomu, a young crocodile, what take you over Jerusalem. Now, when a Koba say 2010 Catholic bishops a synod be on the Middle East. No one call and one more say, and then no, Obian who bet me the Bible. I say, one way choosing of the year.
Okay.
Bibiani Hosa, young the children of God, Intino, wouldn't mean far scripture. I'm a far territorial claim. The non person all kind because we kind of be see a same so.
Okay.
And the mama and title.
Okay. New and easy Hebrew monthly. Okay. Vatican Synod calls for end to Israel's occupation. Okay. I say at conference on Christians in Middle East, U.S. Mackay Archbishop says there is no longer chosen person. Rome, bishops from the Middle East who were summoned to Rome by the Pope demanded on Saturday that Israel accept UN resolutions calling for an end to its occupation of Arab lands. In a final joint communique, the bishops also told Israel it shouldn't use the Bible to justify injustices against the Palestinians. The Catholic Church has long been a minority in the largely Muslim religion, but its presence is shrinking further as a result of war, conflict, discrimination, and economic problems. The Holy Scriptures cannot be used to justify the return of Jews to Israel and the displacement of the Palestinians. To justify the occupation by Israel of Palestinian lands, is it Moshinger, Cyril Salim, Pastors, Greek Melkite Archbishop of Our Lady of the Annunciation in Boston, Massachusetts, and President of the Commission for the Message, said at Saturday's Vatican conference. We Christians cannot speak of the promised land as an exclusive right for a privileged Jewish people. This promise was nullified by there is no chosen people. All men and women of all countries have become the chosen people. Even if the head of the Israeli state is Jewish, the future is based on the refugees will eventually come back, and this problem will have to be solved, the Lebanese-born Bostrus said.
Yeah, make it to say. Maybe I sure say Roman for documents or mobile Jerusalem best say they call a title stamp AD 70 and in American. All when you say any pan original people no more assassins or me before.
Okay.
And then no, what be we are heritage be. And now their question was oh, you need the choosing of God. And you know, it me here the person here. And then almost why you bold person country was hey.
Yes.
That and then there be any horse
like a chosen.
If you say chosen, you say if anything, you be more a yankophobia. And so they mean because a hodden as your coach scriptures more. Ubos or bad there, any Hebrew for any call. Say my fam, send me ma. Now who you need? That ben or befa was any bar. And you know, almost kind and I know last video. You will be a nature side phone so in your coin.
You can hear your last video not about or say unacceptable for Israel to use scriptures for territorial claims. Yemfa wing so of you should have allowed me to explain how Jew came into being to them. They don't know difference between Hebrew and Jew. They can read Genesis chapter 14 verse 13. Loku from Enyan Dincha, Wake Up Africa, knowledge is power. One and a do we buy. Of us, we think Koko, as a German or no draw Bokakra. Good day, Hebrew teachers. May Yah bless your good works. When are you coming to Cape Coast? I'm wakona do a buy. Please give me all the quotation about slavery. Hey, command the pioneer. Commander. Can we are not Yakofa your last video no. Or see you see the light one day before you all die. Your message is quite simple, but you have decided to make it confusing to listeners and viewers. I have on countless times referred you to what when is our watchman? Watchman ya na Watchman Israeli and his wife Deborah
I said that none can make once.
Oh, for me,
Baby, I can say yes. Bameka. So didn't want bad dear. Deborah ne Nikunu. Woman yet the chosen of ya Omnia Hebrew for no map.
I say of America for guidance, but you continue to refuse it. Mr. Host, please ask yourself. Mr. Host, do you cry? Mr. Host, please ask yourself and Ofaya why he keeps on not talking about this man and his wife whenever I mention them in my questions. Now, no crowd now can they are nobody. They are of no importance to me.
That's right,
sir. I love Ofaya by the fireside fame a lot growing up, but I believe he is deceiving you and Israel Kroma. That is your own cup of tea. Only yesterday, I was listening to Pastor Oko Ajman of Living Yah 7-Day Sabbath Ministries, and I was so glad in my spirit with him through, though he condemned Christianity, but never condemned the deity of Yeshua as you do, according to 1 John 1:4-3. And someone I don't follow, no, you don't get it. This makes you Antichrist as Muslims and even Jesus, even Jews. Yajatum, have a nice day and learn more. You too have a nice day and also learn more. Apa, you go here video in Yakohe, your last video of the day. Unacceptable for Israel to use scriptures for territorial claims. Yes, Shemra.
The Synod of Bishops for the Middle East wrapped up its work a few days ago. Today on the Vatican Report, we'll look at some of the big themes of the Synod and how they were reflected in the final documents. I'm Cindy Wooden, Catholic News Service Rome correspondent.
And I'm John Thavis, CNS Rome Bureau Chief. The Synod issued a message to the world, and it published 44 specific proposals for the Pope to review. Now, some of the strongest language came on the issue of war and peace, especially the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The bishops highlighted the problems faced by Palestinians living in occupied territories, at the same time affirming Israel's right to live within secure borders. In addressing relations with Jews, the bishop said it was unacceptable to use Scripture to legitimize an injustice.
A U.S. bishop at the Synod said that referred to territorial claims by some Israelis that are based on the promises of the Old Testament. The theme of the Promised Land cannot be used to justify the expatriation of Palestinians so the Jews can return to Israel, he said. That was enough to spark a very negative reaction from Israel, which accused the Synod of playing politics instead of sticking to pastoral issues.
Relations with Muslims was another big theme of the Synod. The final documents made a couple of points. First, that Christians and Muslims believe in the same God, and that the Church is committed to dialogue and cooperation with Muslims. The Church's many social and educational programs, which are open to people of every faith, are a prime example of this. But the bishop said Christians must be given their full rights as citizens, including freedom of religion. Pope Benedict was even more forceful on this issue in his homily at the Synod's closing Mass. He said religious liberty for Christian minorities should be put on the agenda of Catholic-Muslim dialogue.
Christian emigration from the Middle East was another key topic in these documents. The bishops examined the causes, which include war, discrimination, and economic hardship. While they did not call on immigrants to return home, they did ask them not to rule out an eventual return and to think twice before selling their property in their homelands. There was also a much greater recognition in this synod that the Church's makeup is changing in the Middle East. As traditional Catholic populations continue to leave, millions of Catholic immigrants from Asia are arriving in places like the Arabian Peninsula.
The Synod's proposals go to Pope Benedict, who is expected to write an apostolic letter on all of this. Meanwhile, the Pope was looking ahead to the next World Synod of Bishops in 2012. He announced that the theme will be new evangelization, reflecting what he said was a need to re-evangelize in traditionally Christian countries where people have drifted away from the faith. The Pope recently created a pontifical council to promote new evangelization, and it's clear that he sees this as one of the most pressing challenges facing the Catholic Church today. I'm John Thavis.
And I'm Cindy Wooden, Catholic News Service.
Right, I was saying to video, yeah. Debi ano yeka of a can someone near the video na shimukena na what to me at the can I say now share some videos here and I boys if we are seno because when I yet your margin so no one who say near my ewo now so we shall be a free and yeah sabe I say manson semne na we ni share we na we ni share we that way over you trust na fe yen kofa
ya me de manues
of adano
me dey see o hono mo
right of apoku danka edena no asi ba bia ye dro no ye ba mo nchen e wa homa no so enti la ya be frɛ so no ye de to so amamo zero frɛ no na be frɛ wa ba na afi ya je wa dwenche me kai wo se nyame adoma memenda kuma se na ofa eba no mo a mo pese mo ba bie ana mo pese mo frɛ na mo je enchiremu bia no mo be frɛ kuma se organizer no brother Edu e wo 0244 580-344 0244 580-344 so friend no na bibi nti wantumi amfa ana say ai busy a obefrɛ eye brother Same ono secretary obefrɛ Same so e wo 0245 030 239 0245 030 239 eno any number obetumi afrɛ na bibi apese obisa efa kumase na ene ni bibia hono so no na watumi afre na ya kyerɛ mu abusia ma mento ade kakra na obra yigu so fa mo message no ade a me kamfo de ama wa na wie ye friend of quantum beauty spray we